Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the Arkim that are teaching this word. Shalom Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Now, as you can see here from the BBC, this is an article, and it says Archaeology, the final resting place of British kings discovered. Alright, which were Jake kings in the Middle Ages, and Esau has found, some more burial sites, man, of Jake kings here in the United Kingdom, all right, which we know that they were Israelites, man. All right, we know that it was Jake ruling in them times through history, through icons, and through faith, all right. See, because the way Esau paints it out in this world is that he was like ruling forever, man. See, if you used to follow Esau, you'd think he just ruled forever. There was no other rulerships, there was no other people ever in power, because that's his lies, all right. He painted his images up, which is all in the scriptures, man. So it says, scientists have found, I'll read a bit of this here, and I've got some scriptures. Scientists have found what might be as many as 60 royal graves at 20 places across the west of England and Wales. Before the discovery, only one resting place of a post-Roman burial of a monarch from the Dark Ages, approximately 810 AD to 1000 AD, had been discovered, although 9 Anglo-Saxon royal graves have been found on previous excavations. Now at least 20 possible burial sites, some containing 2 or 3 graves, have been discovered in Wales, Cornwall, Devon and Somerset. You see, because it's not as far-fetched now, but we used to mention that how, Jake ruled in the Middle Ages. They ruled all of Europe. It weren't just the Moors, it weren't just Negro Muslims in Spain. It was all over Europe, all right? The Christian kings, which was all Israelites, man, King James. And people used to trip out at that. But now, because Esau's people used to kind of bug out when we mentioned that at the camp and show icons and stuff like that. But now, and now because Esau's being exposed so much that he's such a liar, truth's coming out. People are seeing it more, basically. Like this has to be true, man. All right. So it says, now at least 20 possible burial sites, some containing 2 or 3 graves, have been discovered in Wales, Cornwall, Devon and Somerset. All right. It says a statue of the famous Alfred the Great, king of the Anglo-Saxons, stands in Winchester, where he was originally buried in 899. But they were moved many times, and where they are now is unknown. Yeah, and you know what? This image you see here is more than likely, because they're saying this is Alfred the Great, but we know that, Esau, destroyed a lot of the images of our people, statues, pictures, especially here in like England, stuff like that. If you go Russia and places like that, then deeper into Europe, you've probably got a lot of, well, not probably, you do, you still have a lot of statues standing. You still have them today in England, but Esau will do things like the original ones that Jake put up, but Esau will chip them, break the noses off of them, things like that, and erect new statues, all right, with that look more like Edomites. So this one looks like that more. I would say this Alfred the Great statue here looks more like a newer one, all right, which Esau put up. But if you go like places like Birmingham, for example, you have in Birmingham, I believe it's Lichfield. You've got Black Boy, which I believe that was King James's relative. Basically, you got an actual statue of him, from the Middle Ages that's still standing there. The brother in the camp, the elder brother from Ramah from the UK camp, he from the GMS England, UK, shall I say, Salakia, he's put videos up over the years of that, and we've seen those images, we've seen those statues and stuff, and there's loads of them here in England, so that's what it is. So Jake was ruling, man. But you see, Esau's deception, he'd have you think that all the Middle Ages kings and the great kings in the past, all right, was all him, all right? You see, so it says the research was done by Professor Ken Dark of the University of Reading and Spain's University of Navarra, who published his findings in the Journal of the Royal Society of Antiquaries of Ireland. And we ruled Ireland too. Negroes ruled Ireland too, man. The Negro tribes were predominantly here in Europe, which when you look on the 12 tribes chart, which would be Benjamin, Levi, and Judah, Benjamin, Levi, which is the southern kingdom of the nation of Israel. We were the ones ruling here in Europe, All right. That's who was ruling here in Europe. So it says Professor Darks says the burial grounds appear to be from the 5th and 6th centuries AD. During this period, Britain was made up of a patchwork of kingdoms no bigger than a county. Yeah, and that's what it was during the Middle Ages here in England. It was split up. So you had like Wessex, you had you know oh, I can't remember all of the names now. You see, so I can't remember all of the names now, but you had like Wessex was a county. You know, you had I forgot the name. You know what? I'll type it in here. All right, I'll type it in here. Old England map. All right, Salakia. Old England map. All right. Salakia. Let me type it in here. Old England map. There you go. So this is what it would have been like. So when it says it was split up into counties, this is when Jake was ruling, and they're still split like that today, you know. But I mean, but it doesn't now. It would say, obviously now it would say Scotland, London, but back then you had places like this. So say Mercia, which you see would be the Midlands. You can see here, which would be Birmingham, Lichfield's there, which is the Black Boy statues there, Worcester. Then you had like Wessex, which is the south. So this is where you would have had, well, there you go. It shows you there, London, Essex, Sussex, which would be the south of England. All right. Then you had Northumbria, which was going up into the north. So that's where you'd have had York, modern day places like today, Newcastle, which was all there in the ancient times. But you can see here, Northumbria, Mercia, Wessex. So it's split up into little counties. That's what it just told you here. During this period, Britain was made up of patchwork of kingdoms no bigger than a county. The east was ruled by Anglo-Saxon kings, while in the west, the royal dynasties were descendants of people who lived in Roman Britain, also known as Celtic Britons, which were Israelites. All right? The Celtics were Israelites. That was all history of so-called Negroes. What's his name? Famous Jake from Scotland, William Wallace. He was an Israelite, man. You know, but you see in Esau, when Esau, the pagan Romans, which were the Edomites, came back into that rulership, they covered all of this. But you know, this is the point, pretty much, man. And it says here, Tintagel in Cornwall, where one of the burial sites was discovered, has links to the stories of King Arthur. All right. So let me read a bit more of this here, up here. So it says he was also able to compare them to similar graves in Ireland, which were widely thought to belong to royalty. So yeah, pretty much the archaeological digs that they did, they're saying that the people in Ireland and the people in parts of Britain were linked pretty much. This is what they're saying, which we've told you that over the years, man. It says here in North Wales and the famous site of Tintagel of Cornwall, a place often associated with legend of King Arthur, medieval mythology figure from this time. But I mean, this is the point. Before this, there were only 2 possible burial sites of Celtic British rulers from this period that we know of, but now there may be over 20. So, you know, pretty much we know that Jake was ruling Ireland, Scotland, England, Wales. It was all Negroes, man, ruling this, man. All right. It was all Jake ruling this, man, in the Middle Ages. It weren't Esau's rulership. And what proves that is, what proves that as well is, remember when the Middle Ages came, there was, it was solely based around religious institutions, for example. It was based around in the Christendom, all right, the Bible, which Esau claims to do that today, but they don't follow the scriptures, man. And now them Jakes back then, in the Middle Ages, they were basically making their own righteousness, pretty much, shall I say. So they was going off anyway, but they were more in tune with the scriptures than the people of today, than the Edomite rulers, man, of today, which proves they're not the same people, man. Even things like that. And even for example, when Rome fell, the pagan Roman Empire, Esau fell, remember, they closed the Colosseums, where they would have had Jake fighting. They changed laws, changed laws. I believe they even changed laws on homosexuality was weren't allowed to be done, which at the time of Rome, towards the end anyway, it became so lewd. Society became lewd, so there was laws being changed straight away when Jake was getting more up in that power, which proves these devils ain't those people today. Because look at their society today, the Colosseums, the modern day football arenas, the UFC, blood sports, You know, that's the spirit of Esau, man. And then you have, then you have homosexuality, which is rife, you know. But then they claim to be the people of the Bible. We're talking about here in England and Europe. They pushed that. Abortions. They were against that in the Middle Ages. Abortions and things of that nature. All right. They were a bit more, even though they were wicked niggers, you know, they were more biblical. They were more righteous than these devils, the way these devils rule today, pretty much, man. There's a difference, man. You know. So let me read this here. This is Revelation 20 and 1. It says, and I saw an angel. But basically, that's the point. We were ruling in the Middle Ages, man. And Esau's, doing more digs, saying there was all these kings have been found, pretty much. More burial sites of these kings, man. So Revelation 20 and 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit, and a great chain was in his hand. And he laid, and this is talking about during the time of the pagan Roman Empire, right? Which was when Esau was ruling. All right. So it says, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Yeah, the dragon is talking about that Roman Empire, right? And who is the head of that? The so-called white man, which are known as who today? The so-called white people today, which are known as the Edomites in the Bible. That's their biblical identity, man. And who are they today? They're the Polish, they're the Lithuanians, they call themselves Italians, Russians, English, but they're really Edomites, all right? And really all these names they've taken upon themselves as English, British, that was all our titles, man, all right? So-called Negro titles, man. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and and bound him for that 1,000 years, meaning he was put in slavery. So Esau fell. And in that time is when we got up in that rulership, man. All right. And took over Europe pretty much. So-called Negroes took over Europe and ruled. All right. And bound him for 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till that 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. Yeah. So that 1,000 years was fulfilled during, let's say, the 1300s upwards, and a little bit before that, Esau was getting up into that power. We're talking about the 1300s to the 1400s, and obviously 1492, which Columbus and them was getting more into that rule. They went to take over the New World, but where were they coming out of obscurity from? In Europe. Because why? They were under us. They were under so-called Negroes for a long period of time, for that 1,000 years, man. All right. We had our foot on their neck pretty much for 1,000 years, man. All right. And then they were starting to get into power. See, when you gain power, it doesn't just happen overnight. It takes time. So Esau was under us, but they were getting positions of authority and things of that nature, just the same way as Jake took down the pagan Roman Empire, which was when Esau was at his height. How did that happen? Jake was getting high up in his kingdom. Same thing was happening with Esau. He was slowly creeping up there till they took us over, man. Till that 1,000 years was fulfilled. So it says, and cast him into the bottomless pit, which is Europe, and shut him up and set a seal upon him. Yeah, meaning he was put in slavery, man. That's that seal, man. He had no power on the earth. The Edomites, that he should deceive the nations no more. Yeah, and that's what they do. They deceive the nations. Because what has Esau done since he's come back into that power seat? He's deceived people, man. He said he's Jesus Christ. He was the kings of Europe. He was the Egyptians. He was the Persians. And he's whitewashed history, man. That's what they did. When they came back into power, they whitewashed all that Middle Ages history. They Edomized it. They destroyed images and painted their pictures up, man. So it said that he should deceive the nations no more, till that 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. And Esau, the so-called white people, they've been loosed, and they've built their kingdom up. America, Europe, they built up their buildings. That they were loose. They've run loose on the earth, created chaos, war, destruction. All right, which is their nature, man. So this is what they've done, man. All right. So I'm gonna read this here. This is Psalms 58. Psalms 58 and 3. Psalms 58 and 3, right? It says, the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. All right. And that's these so-called white people, the Edomites. They're born speaking lies. So that's why I read this to say this, because when Esau came back into that rulership, the first thing he did was to put his image up as the image of power, man. And how do you do that? You conquer people, and you say that you're the son of the Most High, pretty much. That's what they did. That's the ultimate blasphemy. They put their image up to say that they're the son of the Lord, which when you read in the scriptures, the son of the Lord is a so-called Negro, Yahweh Shai, man. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, which Yahweh Shai is the son of Yahweh, man. And what they did is they put their images up. They put that Serapis Christus image, Cesare Borgia image, and, put it up as the image of whom the world calls Christ, man. But now the world's waking up out of that stupor that these devils have put on the planet, man, which is the spirit of the Lord, which is the signs of their end, man. So as the wicked are estranged from the womb, they go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. That's what these devils do. They speak lies, man. So when they came out of that, when they got loosed a little season again, which is we're living at the end of that now, what did they do? They've whitewashed the planet. They've lied. They've raped, robbed, and murdered their way into power and just totally spoke lies, man, till this day. All right, their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf adder that stoppeth her ear, which will not hearken to the voice of they're the deaf adder because they're not about truth. All right, you can tell these devils this truth till you're blue in the face. They ain't gonna hear this, man. All right, even till this day, all the chaos they've caused in this planet, which is the spirit of which is the Lord anyway, allowing them to do this. They still don't believe they've done anything wrong, man. Which will not hearken to the voice of charmers. We're the charmers because we're the ones telling the truth. They ain't going to hearken to this truth, man. Charming never so wisely. Break their teeth, O Lord, in their mouth. Break out the great teeth of the young lions, O Lord. Let them melt. Yeah, their teeth is their power. Because a lion, where's the lion's power? Is in his bite, man. And their power is their military, their governments that they have. But their military is their power, which is the power of Rome, man. They're military. You can't take them down. It's the Lord that's going to do it. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, he's going to break their teeth. He's going to break their power, man. And part of that is by the Lord giving us this truth to expose them, man, that we were the kings of the Middle Ages. That was our history. See, for the years, they've ran with the fact that so-called black people were just slaves, all right? So-called Native Americans were just savages. But really, our history is that we're the 12 tribes of Israel, man. And our descendancy ruled in the world, in the whole planet, pretty much. When you go deeper into it, our people ruled everywhere. India, Asia, we ruled everywhere. The martial arts comes from us. Music comes from us. Everything comes from so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. The influence of our people, culture, food. When you go deeper into it, man. All right, so it says, break their teeth, O Lord, break their teeth, O Lord, in their mouth. Break out the great teeth of the young lions, O Lord. All right? And that's what the Lord's going to do. He's going to destroy them. But part of that is by us exposing them, man. All right? So I'm going to read this here. This is Isaiah 25 and 7. Isaiah 25 verse 7, all right? It says, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people and the veil that is spread over all nations. And who's that he? The Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. And he's destroying the face of the covering cast, man, which is the lies, all right? The covering cast that Esau's put over our people, all right? And it begins with the elect, because now we see through Esau's lies, man. We know that when Esau says we've discovered kings of the Middle Ages, that we know that that's us, man. All right? Royal kings, man. And you see, when you see like the royals of today in England, they what do they really wear for the most part? They wear suits and ties, man. They wear suits and ties. But when they do like ceremonies, they'll wear like the Middle Ages red velvet robes and stuff like that, purple robes and stuff, which comes from us with the scepters. But in their day-to-day life, they don't walk around with that stuff, man. But in the Middle Ages, them Jake Kings did, man. They actually wore them robes and royal garments. They wore that, man. And they had scepters, kings on thrones. But these Edomites don't rule like that. They rule by the power of Rome, senates, governments. All right? Suits and ties, which is the modern day, the toga, which is the suit and ties today. All right? But then when they do ceremonies, they'll put on when they do a so-called ceremony, they'll put on the velvet robes and do the knighting and stuff, which that's all us, man. That's all Jake, man. So that's that covering cast, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people and the veil that is spread over all nations. And that veil is all the lies that the so-called white man spread over the planet, man. That he claiming he's the power, he's the God, he's the power of the heavens, But everyone's realizing and waking up now to the fact that these people are liars, man. You can't trust the so-called white man. He's a serpent, man. His history is a lie, all right? And the fact is, how his history is a lie. The fact is, these people are the Edomites. That's who they really are. And when you read in the scriptures, what was Esau's blessing? The sword. He's going to rape, rob, and conquer. And that was his blessing. When you read into the history of the Greeks, the Romans, what was their history? Rape, robbing, and murdering. Which was these devils, man. You see? So that's what it is, man. And even this fact that even the United Kingdom, for example, Wales, England, Scotland, who united the United Kingdom? King James, man. Which was who? A so-called Negro. And you see what proves these people are not the people of the scriptures too? Because if they were the people of the Lord, right, or they were the people of the Bible, they would exalt King James, man. They would reverence him. They would exalt him in this society, but they don't. In this society, they say all manner of blasphemy against that man. But isn't he the one that united this kingdom? Yeah, he was. He did United Kingdom. He united it, man. And that's where you get the Union Jack, the men of the covenant, which were Israelites, man. But guess what? In this world, which proves these people are not those people, because these Edomites are not those people, because they slander King James, man, in this society. But it was him that united these isles, man. Which King James was a so-called black man, man. So think about it. If that was your people, that was your history, you'd be exalting him. But really, who do they exalt in this world? They exalt Alexander the Creep. They exalt Julius Caesar. They exalt all these Edomite kings, man. That's who they exalt. Funny, man. So it's all spiritual, man. But these devils are being exposed anyway, man. You know? Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. So with that, I'm just going to say all praises unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the Akim that are teaching this word. Shalom Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Shalom.